Welcome to Coaching in Session,
where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary,
unlock your potential,
and step boldly into your next chapter.
Your mindset journey continues.
I was thinking of who is this episode for, and I couldn't figure out who it wasn't for. Yeah, it is that powerful, this episode, because this is this idea where this is easy for men to understand. Women in our world today, especially like modern women, can see this very easily. Children, especially teenagers around that age, can definitely relate to all the things we're going to be talking about. And you might wonder, well, what is it? This idea of being the strong one. Men, let's start there. I understand how challenging it can be to have all eyes on you, especially if you are family orientated. You feel as if you are the protector. You feel as if you're the provider. You feel as if you have to take the brunt of everything the world is throwing at you and family, and you have to be there for them financially, emotionally, everything. But who's there for you? Who's there to support you when you need backup, when you need a helping hand, when you need assistance? Because asking for help in some regards, in your mind maybe, might be considered weakness. So you keep it in. You say that I'm going to figure out a way. I'm going to do the best that I can. And sometimes you get drowned in all of the chaos. The world wins. But then sometimes you can gradually nudge your way back up the hill after falling down a little bit. And you're starting to make some traction, right? We're making good progress. And then maybe you have just had an opportunity in life to kind of coast and to have everything work out your way. Well, this is all to say that for the silent ones, the ones that are drowning, the ones that are not able to say help because they're underwater, what do we do for them? What do we do for those individuals that don't know the solution, don't know the way out? I read a quote. The quote goes something like this with God. He basically asked God, why did you put me in so many dark moments in my life? And God simply replies, so you know the way out when I send you back in for somebody else. And I thought that to be extremely powerful, because how many times can you say you have overcome something that maybe at one point in your life you would have never thought you could? Maybe you would have thought it would have broken you, but it didn't. Or damn near did, like it got close, right? But you survived. There are going to be countless people who have done what you have done or who have done what you're trying to do. And this is not to say that we need to belittle what you have in store. This is just to say that there are people who can help you. They know the way. This is why mentorship is so powerful, where you seek a mentor who has done something or is still doing what you want to do. So you can learn and you can mitigate many of the downfalls and many of the hurdles, because you don't have to always be the strong one here. You could be the student. You could be the one who learns and then the one who achieves. Oftentimes we think that the strong one is always the winner, right? You have to be strong to survive. Only the strongest survive. Yet we can look at our world, the people who have the most money. Yeah, sure, money can equate to power, but by physical strength, they are nothing. They can supplement their money and get security, right? People who are bigger, people who are stronger than they are, and they can preserve their wealth and they can preserve their lifespan. We're living in a different world, because if these strong men who were able to lift large boulders were back in caveman times, all the ladies will want him, because that was the epitome of what a man was. Can you provide for me? Can you protect me? And the stature of a man, it mattered back then. It matters today. But yet we have belittled that idea. More to come. For ladies, especially in our world today, you have this stigma about who you need to be, who you should look like. Maybe what type of lifestyle that you should be living. I see girls with a lot of makeup on and their hair done and their eyebrows done and everything, right? And I just think to myself, who are you doing this for? Because if I ask, are you doing this every single morning? Or you wake up and you say, I'm going to put my eyelashes on, I'm going to put my nails on, I'm going to put my hair on or whatever, and get my hair did. And you're literally going to stay in the house. Sure, I understand there are some people who do that. They might put a little bit of makeup on and they'll live in the house and stay in the house. But if you think about it, the majority of people who wear makeup out and when they're going to social gatherings, things along those lines, are not going to do it 100%. A guy would not shave, a guy would hang out and just kind of be bummy, holes in the shirts, board shorts, whatever. And he's good, right? He's like, I don't need to impress anybody. Now, of course, this is a lifestyle, right? You can wear very proper clothes, polo tops. You could wear nice shorts as guys with some loafers. So you can have that lifestyle, right? That luxury lifestyle, you want to call it that, versus like the slob or the hippie style where it's kind of like pragmatic and whatever happens, happens. Well, for ladies, typically it's more proper. It's more, oh, we need to be sophisticated. We need to look the part. Because if we can look the part, we can feel the part. If we can feel the part, then hopefully we can do the part. Now, what happens here is that we are having our women go out into the world and they're facing so many challenges, so many circumstances that most men will want to protect their women from. I know there's some men who are family men who they don't want their women to work, not because they don't want to be shown up or not because they don't want her to have her own. It's just that they know the dangers of the world. And it's not to say that the dangers of the world are always going to be there for them or they're going to happen to them and we need to be all doom and gloom. This is just a reality where there can be something going on where maybe we should be paying attention to that. Now, there's a book. I always recommend this book to all the fathers, to all the ladies. I recommend this book. It's called The Gift of Fear. The Gift of Fear is about following your intuition. Talked about it recently on the podcast, but The Gift of Fear is a wonderful book. And I encourage every father to give it to their daughter and to give it to their wives. And for if you're a single lady to read it, because it helps you understand in situations where maybe you think you can be tough, maybe where you could fight back. It's a better idea to listen to what's going on the inside. Maybe I should run. Maybe I should divert. Maybe I should pivot. Not everything in this world needs a face-to-face conflict. And I know sometimes when you have that mindset to win and the mindset to be the best, you will confront conflict thinking that you are perfectly capable. And I couldn't imagine what women today are feeling. The levels of anxiety, of stress. They're trying to be everything to everybody all at once. At some point, that strong mentality, that strong one being is going to break. Now, I talked about the teens, and we can get into that a little bit later in our conversation, but I wanted to bring up this article, The Silent Cost of Always Being the Strong One. It's the article that is on the website this week. Now, I want you to understand that life is always going to be challenging. Sometimes it's going to be a bit smoother, where things might feel as if life is not so bad, right? Like it's pretty decent. And then there's some times when you're worried about things. You're worried about the bills. You're worried about your relationships. You're worried about what other people think, maybe. You're worried about your kids. There's so many things that you could worry about. Some people don't even have a place to sleep. They sleep on the ground. They eat from the garbage cans. This is maybe not a lifestyle that you're close to or you want to live, but it's a reality for some people. Do you think those people don't ask for help? Or if they ask for help, who's there to give it to them? There was a study done. It was a social experiment where a homeless man, and he's the same man, it's funny, he's the same man. The same man would do two types of asking, one as a homeless man and one as a businessman. As a homeless person, he would beg for some change with raggedy clothes, and no one would want to give him any money. They'll say, get a job, you loser. And then they'll just berate him, right? Oh, no, I don't got nothing on me. Sorry about that. And across the board, he didn't make any money, or he didn't make much. But the moment he put on a suit, got cleaned up a little bit, he would be on his smartphone and he would just stop and casually talk to somebody. Hey, can I get $10? I left my wallet, or I lost my wallet, he said, and I just need to catch a taxi home. People were opening up their wallets, giving this $10 to this businessman. But just a little while ago, he was homeless. So the mind plays certain tricks on us where we can see something and we can say, oh, that's nice. That must be nice. And we can all be in support to that. That businessman, of course, we wouldn't assume that he's going to go use that money for alcohol or he's going to go get some drugs. For the homeless person, one of the first things we think are you going to use this money for the wrong thing? I want to make sure that my money is being used for something of prosperity, not for something that's going to give someone a temporary boost of pleasure, right? That dopamine. Sure, yeah, it feels good for a while and you can escape your problems for a while. How many people, they use substances, alcohol, drugs, because they want to get away. They're tired of all the stress of the world. They're tired of being the strong one. They're tired of always having to show up when they want nothing more than to quit and to stop. I think about all the things that I have to do. Family, business, everything's going great, right? But then I just think, what is the long-term goal, right? You have to figure out, what are you doing more than just this month, this year? I can even tell you what's going on with the podcast and how long I think I'm going to have it run for. Because by the time the podcast ends on my terms, I would have accomplished multiple of my goals. And of course, the podcast is a timeless piece. You can listen to this mindset advice. We don't talk about politics, which is always going to be situational and it's going to be history stamped versus this idea. Of course, we have a lot of things happening. So there might not be TikTok anymore. There might not be a YouTube anymore. There might not be influencers anymore. I mean, we can go down the list of things that can change. We can possibly even get better help from our insurances or whatever, or things like that. So we wouldn't need to get private coaching. I mean, we can go down the list of things that are possible. Now, the whole idea of getting coaching with insurance, some do, but predominantly it's not going to be a thing because insurances are not going to make a lot of money, right? Because again, life coaches, they're not going to be certified to prescribe medicines. We live in a world where medicines like to be prescribed because when medicines are prescribed, the drug companies make money. We don't get into politics here, though. This is just a reality. We saw an uptick. It's like 60 something percent more people are on antidepressants than ever, right? So we start to look at, are they being strong or are they being weak? Are they being strong because they're just keeping it on the inside? I'm keeping it on the inside. I don't want to tell anybody, but give me my pills, please. Or are they being strong and they're just literally just praying someone can help them? Just hoping something good can come their way. I can't tell you how many times people will do something that's kind to somebody else and they're like, man, I appreciate that so much. I almost gave up. I almost gave up on myself, my family, everything. People are this close to giving up. And you know what? People are also this close at achieving something great. When we start to look at this article, it talks about the dangers of being silent and being the person that is maybe physically, mentally strong, maybe even spiritually strong, but mentally is starting to break down, right? And once that mental starts to break down, a lot of things starts to happen where you might not be going to the gym anymore. So your physical can go away. Again, we talked about substances before, but substances doesn't have to be like bad for you, right? But think of food, for example. You overeat right? Ice cream is good, but again, if you eat a lot of it, it's not good for you. Carbs and sugar. What do we need that for? To feel good? What are we trying to feel good from? Because we got beat up all day because we did a 9 to 5 we don't love, because our family doesn't appreciate us, maybe because we're hiding something big from our family. I don't know, but you do know. I find it amazing how anyone can contact me, get a consultation. They can say, hey, Michael, I've got something to get off my chest. They can just tell me everything. They could tell me I'm in this much debt, I'm in that, and, I cheated on my partner, and I just got fired from my job. And I don't get me wrong, I've had these conversations with people, but I'm surprised it's not overflowing. A lot of people are very, restrained. And I get it, right? Michael, I don't want to give you any problems that you shouldn't know about, or I only want to work on this and I want that to be the focus, and I don't want you to know all my problems. Well, I would like to know what we're dealing with. If you have a lot of debt and you're over here looking for jobs, we need to figure out how much runway we got. Do we have very little runway, or do we have a lot of runway? Maybe you're looking for love or something like that, but you're a type of person who can't stay committed in a relationship. We need to work on that before we start going on dating sites trying to figure out what your profile should say. There are steps to the process. And sometimes when we have many steps to take, or we don't want people to judge us in a certain light, we don't say anything. We keep things silent. We keep things hidden. And it's easier to hide things than it is to present them, because now not only are we giving them to someone and possibly that they can throw it back in their face, but the possibility also that we pay attention and we have to do the work now in order to change it. Now, I remember one day talking to someone and they were having a hard time with what people were saying about them, saying about their life. And I went on to say, every single time you give someone a bit of you, a piece of you, whether it be information, time, emotion, whatever it be, right? You give them a piece of you, they can leverage that against you. They can say, well, at least I'm not dealing with this, right? And you might think it's the subtlest thing. Michael, they just said, I'm glad I'm not dealing with this, or, at least I'm not dealing with that. And it's just like, you wouldn't think how big of a punch in the throat that is to some people. They're like, ooh, my heart. I can't believe I trusted you with something and you used it against me. In a manner, right? A roundabout manner. They say that the new love definition is trusting someone with the power to destroy you, but they never use it. And I say, wow, that's a powerful love definition. But how many people will use whatever they get as ammunition, as a bombardment, right? As artillery to destroy somebody, especially if we feel as if they have done wrong to us or by us. Maybe they're no longer on our page anymore. And all of a sudden, they're the enemy. So now, as you might have been relying on somebody to help you through these moments, the person that you were hoping would be there is now in opposition force. So now you have to put on a strong face and that everything is going to be okay, but it's not. How many teens are going through it right now? They're trying to figure out how to fit in, how to identify themselves, meaning what is their identity? What are their characteristics? What type of integrity are they going to hold, especially when the people around them are not holding it? They see their friends doing everything. Your children come home and they're like, well, everyone's doing it. Yeah, sure. Everyone you see. Because when you start to pay attention, you start to see the things that you want to see. Think of it this way. I want you to think of a certain car, BMW, a Lexus, a Honda, a Toyota, whatever, right? Kia. And I want you to pay attention to how many cars you start to see. You're going to start to see more Kia Tellurides. You're going to start to see more Nissan Altimas. You're going to start to see more Honda Civics or Toyota Camrys. You're going to just start to see these cars in abundance. So you're going to say, that's like the third car I've seen, that's a Toyota Camry, because you put that attention for it. Now, as a strong one, right, when you're trying to be strong and you're trying to basically take on the brunt of everything and all the stresses all at once, it can be challenging to even see that far because you're so worried about the possibilities of losing, the possibilities of what's to come next that are negative. We don't necessarily look at our life and say, oh man, everything is going great. I'm so happy. I'm going to contact Michael and let him know how ecstatic I am, right? Everything is beautiful. Now, this happens quite a bit with my clients who I've worked with for a period of time. They basically just kind of reassure me. I think it's a more of a reassurance thing, saying, hey, Juan, thank you so much for helping us out. You know, we don't know where we would be without you. And I just nonchalantly, you just go, well, you know, thank you for that. I truly appreciate it or whatever. But again, you're doing the work, right? I can't go to the gym for people. I can't lift the weights for people. I can't run miles for people. I can't go to job interviews for people. I can support them. I can guide them. I can give them all the tools they need to build the life that they want to build. But if they don't want to put in the work, everything is for naught. And that's why the coaching is so expensive. And it's not expensive because we want you to be in a place of dire straits of whether you're choosing to eat or you're choosing coaching. And maybe sometimes if you need to lose some weight, so sure, spend your money on coaching and then kind of hitting two birds, one stone. Not saying you should do that. But if you do that, then you have that skin in the game. I'm willing to sacrifice my pleasures of eating cakes and ice creams and having additional funding to go to the bars at night with my friends on Friday for a month so I can focus on myself. And this is where the strong fail, I believe, in the biggest way possible. They don't do the work to work on themselves. How can they be better in the situations that they're facing? If they're having money problems, what do they need to adjust? Do they need to have more income? Do they need to work on their spending? Do they need to have a hard conversation with somebody and they're just basically taking all the brunt of everything? I remember one time, I don't know which relationship it was, but one of the things I did, it was very negative to me, at least, it was very negative to me, was I would tell my person, I would say, listen, I'll take care of it. Just whatever. Something went wrong. They made a mistake. Don't worry. I'll take care of it. Right. I asked for help. They didn't give me help. And they go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll do it now. I go, no. I got it. I'll take care of it. And what I was doing in my mind was I was creating that strong mentality, but then I was also stressing myself out. I was overburdening myself. Right. And I did take care of everything, but at the cost of losing that relationship because I wasn't being inclusive to that person, saying, hey, I want to bring you into my life, right? Because a relationship, you should be helping one another rather than it being just, I'm my own person, you're your own person, and that's it, right? No, that's not a true family relationship. Yeah, sure, our modern way of living, that can fly. But in the world that you want to be living with your family, it's like, I support you in this area because I know maybe you don't have enough time to do it. So I'm allowing you the flexibility to do everything that you want to do right now so you can be better in the future. And I don't mind taking up a little bit of the slack right now. That's powerful. And this cannot happen even in coaching, where you're giving someone your problems, you're giving someone your stresses. And this is why I love journaling. I say that if you journal, you're giving the paper the problems, right? Because if you think of it this way, right? Let's say you have a to-do list, a grocery list, some type of list, some type of things that you have to get done. And you say, okay, boom, 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 boom. I got all of these things that I have to do. As you are progressing through that list, you will probably come to something you're like, oh, I forgot I had to do that, right? Because that's what stress is. You forget that you have it, but it's there. You go to the grocery store, you don't have your grocery list. You forgot something, but the grocery store had it. You just forgot to pick it up. And eventually, that's where the pieces start to fall in life. And that's where now you're in that falling or that hurdling where either you can make some type of stop or you're going to fall all the way to rock bottom. Some people burn out and they go all the way to the bottom and they wonder, how did I get here? And I always wonder, why didn't they do the work to ask themselves, am I being strong for me or am I being strong just because? Because there's a difference. If I'm being strong for me, there's times when I can cry. There's times when I have to put on a brave face. And there's times when I can lean on people for help. But if I don't do any of those things, if I don't shed the emotions when I can, if I don't lean on somebody when necessary, if I don't do the work to be better, then I'm just going to be in that constant loop of stress, of anxiety, of emotional withdrawal. And I'm not going to put any effort toward anything beyond what I'm thinking about at that given moment. And most people who have been strong for too long have forgotten how to allow someone in their life. It happened to me. I just forgot how to incorporate people in my life because I just said, at some point, I got it. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. I don't need anybody. I can live by myself. I can do things by myself. I can pay everything by myself. So why would I need another self, another person, another problem when I have my peace already? And this is the way too many people are thinking in our world, especially in American society. We see all the things that we can do for ourselves, and we can be successful in it. We don't need many people to be successful, maybe just a handful of people. But then as you're progressing, as you are moving, you might put on a smile, you might put on a brave face, you might put on a facade just to let everyone know or to think that you're okay. But then again, there are people who can just read you like a book. People who can look at you and they can see the stress on your face, in your handshakes, in your voice, and all the things that you do. Those are the people who are going to help you be even stronger than you are right now by yourself. Because what we need is awareness. What we need are people who don't need an invitation to say, hey, something's going wrong. How can I help you? How can I get you out of this slump that you're feeling? And sometimes you might just be not about it right now. You might just say, no, I'm good. I don't want your help. I don't need your assistance. I can do it by myself. And it can be an ego thing. It can be something where you want to prove it to yourself. But at some point, at some time, you have to ask yourself, is what you're doing healthy? Because I can't tell you how many people, they get into their 40s or their 50s and they're dealing with so much stress and anxiety and they have a heart attack or they have a stroke. And you have to ask yourself, how is this happening? It's happening because people are not leaning on the people that they should be leaning on. They're not getting the resources where they can be getting the resources. They're looking for this stimulus and that stimulus to feel better or to think that they're doing good when in reality, they're just burying themselves. Because if you have an addiction, like shopping as an example, you might not realize that those credit card debts will one day see you face to face and you might be ignoring it and you just buy new things, and it just makes you feel better. There are people like that. People who maybe want to lose weight, but they eat, and they want to just feel better. And food is their comfort. So we have so many things to reflect upon. And we need to understand all of these different aspects because the goal is not to stop and be strong. All right, let me stop and write everything down and let me figure out what I need to be strong in. No, that's not the goal, right? Strength doesn't require your destruction. You don't have to destroy yourself in order to be strong. My children, they see me, I'm strong. I'm a big guy, right? But I work a lot. And they're like, Mike, or they don't call me Mike, but they call me Dad. They go, Dad, why are you always working? And I'm thinking in my head, oh, Jesus, right? I'm trying not to work that much. But again, it seems as if the world just asking me for help. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm trying to help as many people as I can. I do a good job at the time that I have. But then again, it still gets in the time that they want from me and of me. Because I understand at some point that season is going to change and they're going to want nothing to do with me. And I can guarantee you at that time, my workload is going to ramp up maybe triple of what it is right now. There's people who they'll call, they'll get a consultation. They'll say, hey, this is that. And okay, cool. Let's figure out where you can get those resources. Sometimes it's me, but sometimes it's going to be someone else. I've never dealt with a substance abuse like drugs or alcohol. So I would refer you to someone who has done that. Now, of course, we can work on the mindset aspect to everything, but I would love to do that in lieu of what you're doing to get support for an addiction, for a problem like that. Because to have someone who has gone through the world experience of feeling something, yeah, sure, I can have sympathy. That probably sucks, things like that. But to be able to emphasize and really understand what you're going through, I don't know everything. And I'm not afraid to admit that I don't know everything. But I do know a lot of things. I know what I want to do. I know many of my plans, and I know when to ask for help. There have been many times when maybe I should have asked for help a lot sooner. And maybe there's times when my ego got the better of me and I didn't ask for help. Can't tell you how many people I know just personally who are struggling, who are drowning, and they don't ask for help. And it's not until they're at the dead end, they look around, they don't even know where to go. Do they make a call? Do they send a text? Something's going on. It's like, I'll do it. I'll take care of it myself. So if you're in that mindset, I encourage you to check out this article, The Silent Cost of Always Being the Strong One. Of course, internally, you're going to feel as if you're compromising yourself, or you're giving up, or you're not being an adult and taking full responsibility. But I want you to understand that being the strong one is just unnatural, especially if it's not your right to be the strong one. You have a team, a family. I was thinking about family the other day, and family is there to support you. Think about it. When you're a baby, you're defenseless. You can't protect yourself. You can't feed yourself. You can't change yourself. You are literally at the whim of whoever caregiver you have. Now, sometimes you're going to have great caregivers, but then sometimes you're not. And this is where a lot of trauma happens, and there's a lot of resentment here. And maybe down the road, you have an opportunity to meet somebody who is willing to help, who's willing to step in. And it's so funny. I remember one time, a good buddy of mine, he's a good man. He offered help, and the help was completely out of his way, like a plane ticket, days off from work, and he likes money. So I was thinking in my head, why are you doing this? Why? But then I just understood what type of person he was. And then I remember just asking myself, would I do that? Would I just sacrifice a moment of my downtime or my pleasure time to help someone who is in need? And it was a battle. I got good at it though, where now if I see someone and they're struggling, and I know even though my schedule is crazy, I will make time. And it's not because they're in my inner circle. It's not even because it's going to make me feel better. It's just I am building myself up to be an individual that doesn't mind helping somebody. I remember my great grandmother. I talk about her all the time. I love her. She passed away in 2016, and she was a strong one. She was the matriarch of the family, right? She was the glue to the family. She was the piece of the puzzle. We all gathered at her place, and when she passed away, no one gathered anymore. The family just started to dissipate, dissolve. There was no more glue, right? There was no foundation. She was a strong one. She can put herself in any situation. You would think that this old woman should not be in this situation, right? Where she could be talking to some hoodlums, some gang members, and the gang members just whatever, right? Because at that time, gang members still had integrity. They don't want to knock down an old woman or old man. Just like, whatever, right? And they'll walk away. And so she just had this thing where you just like look at her. It was like, I can't believe she's doing that. I can't believe she's going up to this person and asking them if they need anything. Like, I would never do that. Like, that person looks like they would rob me, or they would assassinate me, or whatever, right? Or hurt me, or do something to me, right? Or beat me up. I mean, we can go down the list of all the things that our brain's trying to say to help us stay safe and keep us alive. And you know what it's also saying? To be silent, to just deal with it, to just struggle through it, to just push through it, to just wait a little bit longer. Yeah, sure. Things could possibly go your way. But oftentimes when people, they hit a depression, they become stagnant, they ruminate, and they don't make forward progress, and they need some level of help. And if they're not doing it themselves, then that's when they're going to have an extremely hard time getting out of it. And that's why sometimes depression can last for years. That is why depression meds are up now, where people would rather take those pills rather than do the work to get rid of the pills that they're taking. But today is an opportunity. Check out this article, figure out what you need to do. Understand that being the strong one might appear to be a valid reason or a valid solution to your problems, but I will tell you that it's not. It's not long term. And if you don't know how to deal with that, the people that you love the most, the relationships that you hold close, you're all going to suffer. So if you're a person who has been strong for too long, if you're a person who feels the weight of the world is on you, if you feel as if your ego is taking control and your mindset has no way of word in your life, or your consciousness and your subconsciousness are always clashing, that's the time when you can reach out for some help. It doesn't have to be me. I have all these wonderful coaches that come on here and coaching in session. You can even call me to figure out who you need to go to. I have a list of people I recommend. And if you need a therapist, I got them. If you need a hypnotherapist, I got them. If you need a dietitian, I got them. If you need a financial analyst, I got them. It's like, I got everybody. And it's so funny because sometimes people, they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, I'm looking for this type of person. I go, let me make a call. I make a call literally 30 seconds, a minute later, it's resolved. They go, wow, I should have asked you sooner. There it is. The cost of being a strong one is you're wasting your life away doing what you think is right? The journey, I get it, right? You want to experience life, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time you want to get in the car. You just get in the car and you drive. Imagine if you got into life and started to live the life that you could be living rather than the one you're struggling to maintain right now. I think a lot of things would change.